Hi, everybody. This is Miss Smith here. Today, we're going to do a little flipped lesson. We're going to look at something that's going to be familiar. We're going to look at my prized possession, which is basically a writing or editing story, and we're going to look over, and I want to teach you exactly how to look at these revising and editing questions, so you can be successful on the DCP tomorrow, because guarantee on the DCP there's most likely going to be another passage that looks like this where you have revising and editing questions. So I want y'all to be successful and know how to take something like this. So the first thing that I want us to do on here, it's when you're doing a revising and editing passage, you kind of have a different process than what we normally do in reading. Okay, so there's no need to really write the genre or the point of view. You obviously do still need to read it, and then I'm just basically showing you how to look at the questions in a strategic way. So we're gonna do questions 7, 8, and 9 together on this first page. And then you're going to do questions 10, 11, and 12 on your own. And your teacher should be walking around, or I don't know, going up to their desk, so your teacher can check it. Okay, because this is going to be your assessment to see, did you get how to look at revising and editing questions. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to read my prized possession together. So it says, read the selection and choose the best answer to each question, then fill in the answer on your answer document. Molly's teacher asked her to write a paper about her favorite possession. Molly wants you to read her paper and look for any corrections she needs to make. When you finish reading, answer the questions that follow. My prized possession. Every night as I climb into bed, I whisper, "Good night, guys." I'm not talking to people who share my room. I'm talking to my prized possession, my favorite red tennis shoes. These shoes have become more than just footwear to me. They have become my friends. Because I'm small for a 10-year-old girl, my feet grow slowly. That fact has allowed me to become quite attached to my red canvas sneakers over the last 2 years. People say that friendships are formed by shared experiences. My red sneakers and I have shared many. There were hard times, like when we climbed the backyard tree and fell. I sprained my ankle, and one of my tennis shoes suffered a broken lace. But mostly, we've shared good times. For the fourth grade class hike, a lot of kids wore new hiking shoes. They were sturdy. I wore my old sneakers. Ashley's fancy new shoes rubbed a blister. Gabby's did too. My red tinnies and I just kept trekking along, comfortable as could be. Another time, my class sponsored a run to help support our school. Friends and family members pledged money for each lap we ran. Because my legs are kind of short, I usually lag behind when I run with others. I thought about skipping the event altogether, but then I saw my tennis shoes in the corner of my room. Like a true friend, it encouraged me. I decided that with those sneakers on my feet, I could do anything. Nothing I own means as much to me as those old shoes do. They give me comfort and confidence. Unfortunately, I must admit that they're also starting to give me blisters. Soon I will have to tell my parents that my feet are outgrowing them. I've already reserved a spot on my shelf where my red tennis shoes can retire. I'm glad that I'll still be able to crawl into bed and whisper, "Good night, guys." And I hope I can find a new, bigger pair just like them. Okay, so I understand the story. Now I'm just going to look at the question. So if I am doing anything, like when I was just reading along to you, y'all should be reading along with me. If I'm writing anything, then that also needs to be written on your copy. Okay, so looking at number 7, it says, how does sentence 4 need to be changed? So the first thing I need to do is go back and look at sentence 4. So I'm going to go back and we're going to mark the question number next to sentence 4. Okay, so if I go back here, it looks like sentence 4 is right here. And I'm going to put a number 7, and then we're going to reread the sentence. It says, these shoes have become more than just footwear to me. Okay, now let's look at the answer choices. Okay, so when you're taking a revising and editing test like this, it's really important that you go back and look at the sentence and then look at all the answer choices. So it says, A, change have become to has become. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the sentence and I'm going to actually implement this change and see if it actually makes sense. So when we read sentence 4, we're going to change have to has and see if it makes sense. Okay, so these shoes has become more than just footwear to me. These shoes has become more than just footwear to me. That, when I read that out loud to myself, has is a present tense verb. Have become is kind of a past tense verb, okay? So has does not work and it doesn't really make sense. These shoes has become or these shoes have become. Okay, just reading that out loud, I can tell that this one is incorrect. Has is not a better change. It doesn't make the sentence better, it makes it sound worse. Okay, and then you have change then to than. Okay, let me explain this one. Okay, when they're talking about THEN, we're talking about time. Okay, I went to the store, then I got home. Okay, or I went to the store, then I dropped off my friend. Okay, so it's talking about time in order. When you're doing something in time order. Okay, than is talking about comparing two things. Okay, than you would use THAN when you're saying I'm faster than a cheetah. Okay, you're comparing yourself to a cheetah. You're saying I'm faster than them. Or my old shoes are dirty in comparison to my new shoes. So I'd say like my old shoes are dirtier than my new shoes, right? Okay, so than, THAN is comparing something. So let's see, going back to sentence 4, if we need to change then, talking about time order, to than, talking about a comparison, okay? Says, these shoes have become more than just footwear to me. It looks like it's comparing the shoes to more than just footwear, okay? So if you're trying to change then to than, that could work because it's not like we're saying these shoes have become more, then the next thing is just footwear to me. Then again is talking about I did this, then I did this thing next. Than is comparing two things. So this very much could work. Okay? Let's keep going though. We got to look at the rest of the answer choices. C, change to me to TOO me. Okay? So these shoes have become more than just footwear to me. Okay? This is not going to be a change that makes the sentence better when you're talking about TOO. It's usually when you're talking about like, I had too much of something. Okay, like I ate way too much turkey for Thanksgiving. Then I would use TOO. So the TOO is basically this too means when you have too much of something. Then you would use TOO, okay? But if you're just saying that something means a lot to me, then this one is actually the correct way to write it, so C can't be it. And then D says sentence 4 does not need to be changed. Well, I would disagree with that because, again, B is a better change, right? We're not talking about I went to the store, then I came home. It's talking about these shoes have become more than just footwear to me. Okay, it's basically comparing how the shoes are more important than just regular shoes. Okay, so than is the best answer, so we do need to change then to than. Okay, so B is the correct answer here. Okay, let's look at number 8. What change needs to be made in sentence 10? So now let's go back to sentence 10. Okay, and we're going to write a number 8 next to sentence 10. There were hard times, like when we climbed the backyard tree and fell. Okay, let's look at our answer choices. Change were to was. So now I'm going to go back, read the sentence, and instead of saying were, I'm going to say was. So let's see. There was hard times, like when we climbed the backyard tree and fell. There was hard times when we climbed the backyard tree and fell. Okay. That is an incorrect, that's basically a tense change, okay? So This is just reading that to yourself. You should be able to figure out like that doesn't sound correct. There were hard times or there was hard times. Were is actually still the correct way to use the verb. So were is correct. Change climb to climb. Now, we're not the best spellers on these types of questions. Here's what I'm going to show you to do. You have a Chromebook usually when you're taking a DCP. Please Google. So we're going to Google this word, and we're going to see if that is the correct way to spell it. If it's not, then this would be the right answer, okay? So on my screen, I'm going to Google climbed, CLIMMED, okay? No. Okay, let's try that again. Look how when I type it in, it's changing it to CLIMBED. And climbed means to go up something. So it looks like it is spelled wrong and it should have a B, not two M's. So if you Google a word usually and you can't find this spelling at all and it's changing it to this, then that means that this has to be the right answer. So climbed is spelled wrong, okay? So the correct answer is G. And even though we found that, let's just look at H just to make sure. Change fell to falled, okay? There were hard times, like when we climbed the backyard tree and falled. Just hearing that is the incorrect answer. It doesn't sound correct, okay? So the last one we're going to look at is number 9 together. What is the correct way to write sentence 13? So now we're going back to sentence 13, writing a number 9 next to it, okay? And it says, for the 4th grade class hike, a lot of kids wore new hiking shoes. They were sturdy. I'm going to read that one more time. For the 4th grade class hike, a lot of kids wore new hiking shoes. They were sturdy. Now, just reading that, I can tell that there's kind of some pauses in there that sound awkward, okay? Because a comma, you kind of have to pause a little bit when you're reading. So we need to probably figure out the better way to write that. So this is talking about where to put a comma, okay, in a complete sentence. Okay, so it says, for the 4th grade class hike, there were a lot of kids. They wore new hiking shoes that were sturdy. Let me read that again. For the 4th grade class hike, there were a lot of kids. They wore new hiking shoes that were sturdy. Okay, looking at this, if we were to take this out, for the 4th grade class hike, there were a lot of kids. They wore new hiking shoes that were sturdy. This part makes it sound awkward, okay? So maybe if this was a better sentence, it would say, for the 4th grade class hike, there were a lot of kids that wore new hiking shoes that were sturdy, okay? So just looking at A, it's not the best way to correct sentence 13. Let's look at B. For the 4th grade class hike, a lot of kids wore new hiking shoes and they were sturdy. This right here, y'all, if we remember, there is no, there's a subject, but there's not really a predicate. So this is what we call a fragment. This is the first thing right off the bat. This is an incomplete, not complete sentence. This is not a better way to rewrite 13, so get rid of that. C, for the 4th grade class hike, a lot of kids wore new hiking shoes that were sturdy. Again, looking at this, just that were sturdy. We don't have a subject. This only is a predicate. It's missing a subject. So same thing, this is not a complete sentence, okay? That doesn't make this sentence 13 better. It makes it worse. Let's look at D. For the 4th grade class hike, a lot of kids wore sturdy, new hiking shoes. That sounds wonderful. Let me read that again. See how that flows? For the 4th grade class hike, a lot of kids wore sturdy, new hiking shoes. That's the best answer, everybody, to rewrite sentence 13. It's a complete sentence. It has a comma in a correct place. So this is your best answer. Okay, now on your own, you are going to do number 10, 11,